Hey, how you doing, guys? It's Keith Grevenitz with Beat Sessions. My review today is of an album that may have slipped past some of you music heads. As a self-professed Radiohead geek, check out the shirt. I'd like to talk about and maybe even introduce some of you to Tom York's latest project, The Smile. Tom and company of Radiohead agreed to take a little break during COVID in 2020, which even sparked some debate over whether Radiohead was breaking up. Don't worry, guys, they're not. They're coming back, they've said. But some band members just want to take a little time to work on some solo projects. Radiohead's last album, Moonshaped Pool, was released on Mother's Day in 2016. I remember that day with such crisp distinction. My only break from Moonshaped Pool was going to see my lovely mother. It was a great day to see my mom, but let me tell you, that album, I really felt it laying on my floor, blasting it. Well, since then, Ed O'Brien, a Radiohead guitarist, came out with a solo album called Earth on with Radiohead's Colin Greenwood on bass and guest appearances from Portishead guitarist Adrian Utley and Wilco drummer Glenn Kochke. Colin's brother Johnny, clearly the more famous guitarist from Radiohead, has been busy doing orchestral work and working on his classical label, Octotonic, if you believe it. His own label, his own classical label. What a guy. Greenwood joined Tom York and longtime Radiohead producer Nigel Godrich and Sons of Kemet drummer Tom Skinner in releasing the Smiles debut, A Light for Attracting Attention, on May 13th. We're a little late, but it's recent enough. Skinner, a jazz drummer, was hard to discern from Radiohead's Phil Selway, and because of that, many have called this release Radiohead Light, which I'm quite okay with, considering Moonshaped Pool was back in 2016. Tom York is certainly a dominating force as a creator, so this is a Radiohead album. The album opens with The Same, which pleads, please, we're all the same, reminding us that we're all humans in these trying times. Greenwood's trademark twangy guitar sound with heavy effects can be heard in the next track, called The Opposite, juxtaposed with The Same. You Will Never Work in Television Again is a refreshing track with what I might call a newish sound for Tom. It's a bit faster and upbeat sounding, and I think this album needed it. It needed a little more smile. The track Panavision throws Hail to the Thief in rainbows and Moonshaped Pool in a blender. It's a beautiful tune with Tom on piano. My favorite arrangement of Tom on the piano. He's beautiful there. This album is extremely dynamic. I mean, this is Tom York we're talking about, but it speeds up, it quiets down, it slows, it spaces out. All good example of this is the slow, soothing sound of speech bubbles. It's a slow, sad song about coping with destruction and the difficulty of putting one's feet back down on the rubble. A quick, syncopated Johnny guitar riffing sound can be heard in what I think is one of the best grooving songs on the album, Thin Thing. The song talks about turning men into mushrooms. It seems like a commentary about how mushrooms thrive in death and feed on decay. Tom has long been anti war and anti violence, and Thin Thing is here to remind us of that. It couldn't be more clear that A Light for Attracting Attention is a COVID album, a commentary on the state of affairs in the world. Tom actually even conjures up Michael Jackson with like Man in the Mirror in a song called Free in the Knowledge, singing, I talk to the face in the mirror, and I said it's time to deliver. Now he can't get through. Turns out we're in this together. The Smile ends in two final tracks, We Don't Know What Tomorrow Brings and Skirting on the Surface. Two songs showcasing a similar bleak take on the current world. And while some of Tom's earlier work sparked at world leaders and how they've set us astray, A Light for Attracting Attention seems to suggest that maybe it's too late, and that the last and most important thing is being human and treating our fellow people as such. Be kind, people. Maybe that's where the smile is. You know, Many of my favorite musicians are dead, and it's been great watching Tom and Radiohead grow and mature over the years. It's amazing that Tom and company were considered a one-hit wonder with Creep, a song that Tom doesn't even care much for. He actually hates that song, if you would believe it. Next time you're doing karaoke at the bar and do Creep, just know that Tom hates that. But whether it's Radiohead, Atoms for Peace, or Tom York's solo album, which are all amazing, by the way, check them out. I'm excited to see where my favorite living artist goes next. Imagine if Kurt Cobain were alive, if Jimi Hendrix were alive, Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, Lane Staley. Imagine if these guys didn't die. Where would they be? Would they have grown and evolved as much as Tom York? I don't know. It's a good question. I think Tom is just a freak of nature. I mean, look at him. He's what a little weirdo. But if I'm gonna give you a rating on this, I'm gonna call this a vinyl please, because this is an album worth listening to, especially if you're a Radiohead geek like myself and you've been missing Tom or you've been missing Radiohead. Like I said, Tom is just the driving creative force of all these groups. So you're gonna get what you want if that's what you're looking for. And I'm happy to say, please bring me more Smile, bring me more Radiohead, bring me more Atoms for Peace. I'll take it all. Well, thank you guys for listening today. I'm Keith Grevenitz, and this has been great. Please tune in and listen to Beat Sessions, and I'll talk to you soon.